Hello and welcome everyone to the HR edition AI in Action. I'm here together with Anastasia and we have matching outfits.
What are the odds, really? I never wear black, and today I decided to do it to match my pink lipstick. And here you are, Magdalena. We really match.
It's so funny because the last time we were also having matching outfits and we did speak about it. So it's already the second time. I think people will wonder what will happen in the next podcast.
Exactly. I'm wondering myself too.
Great. So I'm super happy we are here and we are officially getting started. Thanks to everyone, first of all, who has reached out to us also to be a guest speaker. So we have a huge lineup and we will reach out to all of you. But starting today, we want to, kick off the initial podcast and speak about something AI and HR related.
Sounds good. Let's kick off. So, Magdalena, I actually have a first question for you. If you don't mind, we will start with questions to you and then we can swap. As an AI consultant, you've been in the scene for a while. And I wonder, myself, and I'm sure our listeners are also wondering about how AI tools improve the efficiency of the recruitment process. Let's start with the recruitment. We can, because HR is very wide topic and we can talk about it for hours. Let's hone it into recruitment. So let me repeat how AI tools improve the efficiency of the recruitment process.
Well, that's a very often asked question, and a question I get a lot of from either HR leaders, recruiters, obviously organizations. If we're looking at large organizations, and Anastasia, you are in recruitment for over 15 years, you know how overwhelming it can be when you are receiving tons of applications, right? And then
Absolutely.
you can have a huge recruitment team, but still the effort and the time you need to put in order to screen all of those CVs and really be fair to everyone. And if I say fair, I mean investing the same amount of time of screening those CVs. You see what I mean, right? So
Yeah.
if we are speaking about, a recruiter and you and I, we have been doing this job. Imagine you are sitting in front of 100 CVs and you start screening. And at the beginning, you are like super motivated. You are looking at the CV, you are reading through it. But after a certain time, also your like level of concentration goes down,
Yeah,
right? So
after 50, I would say you're very much done. And these days we receive from 500 to 2,000 applications, mind you.
wow.
Yes.
Wow. You see, I mean, it's insane what we basically as humans need to be capable of in terms of concentrating and focusing in order to give a fair chance to the candidate. So now, there might be people that will say, yeah, but then the AI tools are biased, etc. Let's leave this for a later point because this is a whole different topic. We will speak about this and we will also outline all the potential biases and risks that are coming. But let's focus on the positive aspects, how AI can actually help. So imagine the AI that you have, the tools. So they are generative AI tools, they are automation tools, they are custom AI solutions, depending on the customer needs. But let's say you are using a AI tool that is screening the candidates.
Mhm.
Imagine what amount of time you're actually saving here. And if you are feeding this AI with the right information, with the right input, the right data,
Yeah.
which is also a huge topic, because you have to make sure that you have the right data set in the AI. Whatever you feed it in is what the output that you will receive.
Yeah, you
So
have to
now the
set the right
AI,
parameters. Yeah.
absolutely, the right parameters, perfect. Yes. So now the AI can basically take care of all the screening for you, and it can screen all the hundreds of thousands of candidates in, a little bit of time, which you couldn't do with a huge group of recruiters, with a huge team of recruiters. So
Yeah.
this is where you definitely have an efficiency boost. First of all, we're speaking about the screening.
Yeah.
Second of all is shortlisting those candidates. So now it has screened the candidates. What then? Obviously, you
Mm.
want somehow to sort them. So who is going to be, on the short list or on the long list? You can even start to have a long list. You can say, I want to have an AI tool that gives me a long list so I can double check again. Because I'm a huge fan of still having the human touch in HR, in recruitment, in everything when it comes to AI. It's crucial, actually. So we
Yeah.
are achieving the best results here. So you can
Absolutely.
have the AI tool. and ask it for a long list, and it will present you the candidates that are coming the closest for the qualifications you are looking for.
Hmm.
And then you can go through it and screen them. And then you can obviously, do a short list out of it, or even ask the AI to do a short list for you. So you
Absolutely.
have now screened them, you have long or shortlisted the candidates, huge efficiency boost. What is the next step? You want to invite those candidates. Tell
Yeah.
me about the headache, Anastasia.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for summarizing, Magdalena. I think first of all, and also pointing out the ethical part of it. So
Yes.
yes, there are some concerns that AI is created by humans, and maybe it's not as ethical. But at the same time, it would be, in my opinion, more ethical than a person, because it would have less bias as a machine than a person, any of us, because we are prone to biases, and we are biased even sometimes unconsciously. We're not even conscious of it. So that's one. I think, imagine if we have 500 candidates and creating a long list of 50, that's a
Yes.
huge time savior based on the parameters that we feed the AI, as you mentioned. And then finally, indeed, not to replace completely the human aspect, but it's easier to screen 50 candidates rather than 500 candidates.
Oh,
So
yes.
I think AI tools help us enormously in this task. And then, as you mentioned, finally, when we come to the interview process, again, there are no ways we can replace this human aspect. We again have to be aware of our own biases, but this is not going anywhere. We are humans, and we will always be this way. But again, where AI can help us, and perhaps you can highlight a little bit of this as well for us, Magdalena. I heard about tools that can give us short interview snippets of candidates. So sometimes instead of spending half an hour with somebody, you can perhaps look at the video and spend 3 minutes watching at somebody giving answers, and then invite them for a proper interview. Can you
Yes.
tell us more
Yes.
about this kind of programs, please?
Absolutely. So those programs exist actually for quite a while now. I don't know if you have came across this, but I actually was
Mm.
involved in a process. I think it was like 5 years ago, where I was invited to speak to a video camera and just, answer the questions that would come up.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
I would just basically speak, and then this video snippet would be sent to the recruiter.
yeah.
So, yes, I mean, this is a huge time saver, obviously. And if we are speaking about high volume recruitment, so I could imagine this for production jobs, for hospitality jobs, for all these type of jobs where we are not going maybe so much into depth when it comes to the questions in the interview, I can see this as a huge potential. On the other side, there are obviously some risks, right? Because it depends on the person. How comfortable are you speaking just to a camera, just yourself? Like there is no human interaction. You have those questions, and then you maybe get stuck and you're like, oh, did I say, oh, I cannot change it now? Then you might get nervous. So you don't have anyone that is, in front of you giving you a sign of, "Oh, I like your answer," or "I don't like it." So this type of human interaction missing, it's a double sword,
Edge
I
sword.
would
Yeah,
double
yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
It really depends on the role. Yes, it is a time saver on the one side. On the other side, it really depends on the role, and it also depends on the organization, because we cannot forget that the first contact a candidate has with a company is during the recruitment process, right? So how you
Mhm.
present yourself. And if I present my company from the very beginning, like, I'm not going to talk to you, we're just going to do this video and you record yourself, it always depends. It really depends. It's
Mhm.
a question of taste. Some candidates will say, "Oh, if it already starts like this, I don't want this role." Others will say, "Wow, this is very like, future of work orientated. I like this type of work, and I really want to work with an innovative company." But an innovative company for someone might not be an innovative company for someone else. So it really depends.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. I think solution like this would be great for internships, for example, or for positions where you're looking for somebody's potential, perhaps for sales role as well, where it's very important to be able to present yourself and make a pitch in 1 or 2 minutes, because this is essentially what
Absolutely.
sometimes you would do in sales. You literally have a few minutes to impress a client. And of course, you can redo a few times. I believe you can. I think when I've done something like this, I had three chances. I could redo my
True. Yes.
presentation in three
Yes.
times. But I agree. It's although this technology has been around for probably 10 years, if not longer, it
Yes.
still takes time to for people to get used to it on both sides, for employers but also for candidates.
Totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
Let's move on to the next step of the recruitment process. So we have discussed the applications, we have discussed the shortlisting, we've touched up on the interviews, and now the interview itself. I believe that AI can help us a lot with asking the right questions. When I used to work internally as a corporate recruiter, I faced a lot of challenges with some hiring managers who sometimes didn't ask the right questions. And if you don't get the ask the right question, you don't get the right answer. So with help of AI, there are a lot of suggestions that there are lots of prompts that can help hiring managers to ask right questions tailored to the job description and to the CV. So people can prepare in advance. Well, of course, you don't do it in real time because you're all focused on your candidate. But at least when you feed the job description and the candidate CV into AI tool, it can suggest you the right questions to ask to elaborate a little bit more on CV and tailor it to the job description.
Absolutely. They are already ATS systems, so applicant tracking systems, where you, as we said, you have all the candidates inside. So they have applied for the job, they have been screened, the interviews have been scheduled. And now, when you put the person on interview, there are basically tools inside the tool that you can use to ask the right question. Because ideally, you have already set up the job description, and everything connected to the role, which then is also connected to the candidate, right? And
Yeah,
you should be able to extract the right interview questions directly out of this tool. Obviously, you can also do this with ChatGPT, but I would not just feed, CVs with personal information into ChatGPT. Better to have like real attached tools that are responsible for scenarios like this. So yes, it should extract the questions that are very much connected to the CV and to the job. It should ask behavioral questions, it should ask performance questions. And you're mentioning a very important point, which is, yeah, hiring managers are not so familiar with interview techniques
yeah,
because, yes, they are in their area of business. That's why HR actually needs to be on the leading front. And as a front, you say, okay, here is the questions that you can ask. So let me give you a helping hand, right?
absolutely.
And with these questions, I believe that the interview process can be done in a much, much better way. And also, something that we really want to avoid is to have a lot of interviews. So, this is something time consuming for both sides, for the organization, for the candidates. It's also not representing your employer brand in the best light. So, let's try to avoid this. Let's ask the right questions in one or two interviews and then just say, okay, now we can have a decision actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the biggest deterrent for candidates is a long interview, a long interview, but also long interview rounds with, I don't know, 5 rounds and something silly like this. Luckily, they're getting something of the past. But again, asking right questions helps a lot with also getting the right things out of the candidate quicker. Another thing that AI can help us, and again, this has been around for a while, but with AI, these kind of things can be streamlined. It's gamification of the interviews, assessment centers that are done with the help of AI. Again, a lot of tools that make it things efficient. So again, they do not eliminate the human component, but things can be done faster. So I used to do assessments before, and it would take a day, it would take months to plan everything because it has to be face to face. Everything is by hand, recorded as well. But again, when you have AI tools, things can be done in in the time for the right for the candidate online, and then the snapshots of the assessment center can be sent to an interviewer, and again they can screen it in their own time, making things much faster, and in this
Totally.
way moving the process along much quicker as well.
Totally, and especially gamification. I'm so happy you're coming up with this because this is going to be the revolutionary part. Everyone loves gamification. If there is a little game that we can play all together, people are enjoying it. Candidates are enjoying it. Recruiters will enjoy it. So, yes, you can send out this assessment already before the interview and already having all the insights before the interview, and you have already saved a lot of time because you have the results of the assessment afterwards. You do the interview, you have both sides, right? So you were supported by AI, but you still have the human touch. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're moving to the part where we're talking about job offers. So it's a very personal process. I'm actually not aware of how much AI can be done with such a process. I would try to advise from my point of view. Maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned to do something like this, very personalized,
Yeah.
because obviously here you're making a pact, making a contract for a working relationship that is can be quite profound because we spend a lot of time working. But perhaps there are still AI tools that can help us to make an offer process more efficient. I don't know actually. I wonder if anybody who
Absolutely.
is looking at the podcast can give us suggestions, and I'm definitely gonna Google it afterwards.
It's great. No, I mean, funny thing about it, or the emotional part about it, we
Mm,
all know there is nothing better than making an offer to someone, right? So if I remember my time as a recruiter, I absolutely loved to call the candidate that I know is burning for the role and to pick up the phone and to say, you got the job. Because this moment is something you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss to give the message, and you don't want to miss to receive the reaction straight away.
yeah,
So this is just the best feeling in every recruiter's and candidate's life, I believe.
that's
This is
it.
the moment. So I totally agree with you there. I mean, we shouldn't use AI bots that are calling and saying, hello, you got the
You've
job.
got the offer.
Uh, no, no, because again, we are missing the human interaction there. But where AI can help and will help and is already helping is to prepare the offer letter. Because after the initial call, right, and after the whole bunch of emotions that is coming up, you are obviously going to prepare the offer letter.
Yeah.
And then this is something very administrative. It's something very formal. It's not emotional, and the candidate is already happy. He's already calling his family to tell about the new job. So he's just expecting this email to come.
Yeah.
And usually, what happens is you are on the phone, you are saying, I'm preparing, or maybe you have prepared it, then you are sending it out. But imagine you can send it like real time because the AI has already prepared it. And you say, while we are on the phone, the offer is already in your inbox. And I think this is a very, very nice way of how AI can actually help in the offer process and in the offer stage. So just preparing this administrative piece.
That's a good point, Magdalena, because I remember again from experience. Sometimes even we had systems in HR. Of course, we did, but there was a lot of manual human component. And I remember
Yeah,
calling the candidate, and then the offer letter would take another week to be
yeah,
prepared because someone has to press some button somewhere, and it's all not exactly connected at the back
yeah,
end of the systems. So indeed, receiving offer in the live, right, while you're on the phone is it's just the best. It just gives such a good uplift, and
yeah.
also gives a serious idea that the company is very serious and is on it, right?
Yes.
That they produce the letter very quickly. Totally agree. Well, we walked through the offer process today in our podcast. So we touched upon the most important stages of the candidate journey. Actually, of course, there is also onboarding, but I think that's a topic for another podcast.
Yes.
How to do a successful onboarding with the help of AI, because well, yeah, offer is one thing, getting the job is one thing, but keeping the candidate and making the candidate already an employee stay within the company, especially in the first year, it's a crucial process as well. So you've got someone, and then you've got to keep them with
Oh, yes.
appropriate processes and onboarding. Any closing thoughts, Magdalena, before we finish our podcast for today?
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I would just like to say quickly that this Thursday, the 19th of September, I'm going to speak at the MIA AI Global AI Summit, and I'm actually tackling this point. I'm going to speak about employee engagement and retention and how AI-driven well-being can actually, help us to keep our employees happy and satisfied. So I will also put the link in the comments, so whoever wants to register can register. And obviously, there is a huge lineup of amazing speakers. So it's not going to be only about HR, but also about other AI topics.
Wonderful. I'm going to make sure that I join for sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Great.
Have a nice day. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.